Good morning. How are you all today? Can I ask one question before we start? What language do you want to hear this story in? English? Well, since we have some guests, I think English would be nice, yeah? Is that okay? Okay. So, what do you guys think of when you hear of a natural disaster?
A lot of deaths.
Okay. Okay, yeah. Anything else? What's a natural disaster? Do you know an example?
Earthquakes.
Okay, earthquakes.
Hurricanes.
Okay. Anything else?
Rock slides,
Okay.
floods,
Floods. Okay. But have you got
Tornadoes.
okay. Anything else?
Tsunamis.
Okay. Everything has to do with water, but what about fire? What do we have here in California often?
Forest fires.
Yes. Okay, forest fires. So the story that I'm going to tell you today is a true story that didn't happen in California, but is very similar. It happened a couple of years ago in Washington State, which is a little bit north from California. So in a little town next to a place called Rattlesnake Ridge, which is a mountain area in Washington, there lived an Adventist family next to the mountains. They had like a big ranch, and they had a couple animals, and they had a really big garden. So the family was the Calderon Adventist family, I believe it was called, and their son, their older son, he was 15 years old, and his name was Jeff. And he would help his dad during the summer with all the farm work that they had. So it was one early morning in August when he woke up and he saw smoke through the window. What do you think it was?
There was a giant fire.
Yes, there was a really big fire in the mountain area 3 miles away from their house, or from like where they lived. So they saw the smoke and it was a wildfire. So, and he heard the helicopters overhead, they were pouring water, and this was early in the morning. And then he went downstairs with his family to eat breakfast. And while they were eating breakfast, a police officer came to their door. What do you think he said?
you need to evacuate.
Yes. He said, by this time at night, you need to evacuate your house. So that whole day, the family had to get ready to leave. What do you think they thought of that day?
Their house was going to burn down because the fire was spreading.
Yes. What do you grab when you only know you have one day to leave your house? Not even a full day.
Water.
Okay, so that day, immediately after breakfast, Jeff went with his dad outside and they watered the grass around the house. Why do you think they did that?
To prevent the grass from catching on fire.
Yes. Wet grass doesn't catch on fire as quickly as dry grass. So they wet the grass around the house, and then they started plucking as many weeds as they saw. But they had to leave. So Jeff's mom was packing some clothes and some food, and they put it in the trunk in the car, and they left. Well, where do they go now? They can't stay home. They went to a shelter organized by the Red Cross. Do you guys know what the Red Cross is? So it's an American organization that takes care of people in natural disasters. They build shelters where people can stay there, and they get food, they get water, they get beds. So, can I have the pictures, please? Media? Okay, so this is not the picture of their house, but this is kind of what it looked like. So the fires were right behind their house, and they had to evacuate. And then the next photo. So they went to the safe house where they got. So each family member, there were 4. It was Jeff and his parents and his younger brother. So they each got just a little cot. How would you feel about that? You leave your big house, and then all you have is just a little cot to sleep in for the night.
The cot would be very uncomfortable.
Yeah, it would be uncomfortable. You would be scared about all the things that you left behind at home. What would happen to your house, to your garden, to your area, to your neighborhood, your school, your family. So that night, while they were all in their cots, the family knelt together and they prayed. They asked God to take care of their house. They asked God to take care of them. And they thanked God that they were safe, that they were all together. And so then they got ready for bed. And as Jeff was getting into his cot, he looked over and he saw one of his classmates. And he said hi, and he went over to talk to his classmate. His classmate's name was David. And David looked at him and asked, what was your family doing just now? And Jeff explained, well, we were praying because, we were praying for God to protect our house, and we wanted to keep safe. And we were thanking God that we were all safe. And Jeff asked, why did you pray? Why would you pray?
So God will help you?
Yeah. So God will give you comfort, and so God will help you, and He'll do as you say. Not always in the way that we imagine, but He'll take care of us. So Jeff told his friend, if you want, I can pray for your house as well. He said, I'd like that very much. So the two boys knelt together as well, and then they prayed for the other boy's house as well. So then afterwards, everyone got ready for bed, and then the next day, they were still at the shelter. They were still hearing news about the fire. So 2 days later, they were finally able to go home. When they got home, they saw that some of the land was burned around the area. Jeff's garden was burned, but what do you think happened to the house?
It survived.
It survived, yeah. Anything else? Yeah. So their house survived. And although the story doesn't say if the other boys' house was okay as well, the story says that Jeff invited his friend to church, and his friend came as well to church with him the next week. So sometimes, even though things happen, natural disasters, and it's really horrible, and families are hurt, and our buildings are hurt, and what we own is never safe, how are we safe?
With God?
With God. If we pray to God, can I have the next verse? This verse was attached to the story. It said, if you believe, you will receive whatever you ask for in prayer. So if you believe in God and you have faith and you want God to take care of you, then He will do that. Thank you.